Okay. It is 4:02.
What do we have online? Tara?
Hello.
Katie or Bill, but it's anything.
Is anyone else online? It looks like there's two people.
Yes, we have Stephanie too, or Amy.
Or
Hi,
Amy.
I'm on the line.
So you're three, quorum.
Yeah. You're, how many are you?
Six.
That's okay. There's no voting. It's all discussion items. You don't require a quorum.
Okay.
We just,
But if we make any recommendations to take to Crow, can we do that still?
not officially, but you can follow this up by an email and then get, buy-in from the additional
Alright.
and but via email so you can have an approved vote.
Okay.
But since today you don't have any action items to approve, it's okay that you don't have quorum. If you still have, since you still have enough
Can you
members,
pass the agenda?
if you'd like to have a meeting, just a work, discussion, we can still continue discussion.
Yeah, let's have a discussion.
Typically, they continue discussion.
So we have Amy and Tara. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Don and Jan. Big. All right. So Jennifer, do you wanna lead us off with, you're talking about the magazine.
Yes, and so we have the brand guidelines that I had sent to you guys. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that. But I sent those over. I was telling Dawn that these have been voted on, I think it was last year, at least last year, but this has been voted on and approved by the board. But I wanted everyone to have these so that when we have discussions moving forward, we kind of know what we're basing our creative off of, just so we have a foundation of, the fonts and the color schemes. I just wanted you guys to have that information.
Mhm. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And those are pretty much up to date, those we talked about, right?
Yeah, those were just done, we issued these, I think, in August of last year.
So we don't need to reinvent the wheel, which is nice. Kind of gives us a foundation to work on.
Exactly, and if, I thought I knew that there was discussion with the magazine, so even if we wanted to, talk about furthering the branding, those colors are important, that's something that we can give to Sean and say, here's our colors. Do we want to incorporate more of that, make it again, and for us to take that branding circle, bring it all the way around.
Any questions on that?
Not for
Hello?
me.
No,
Okay.
no,
And let's go to proposed celebration news, the guidelines. Last time we talked, there really wasn't any real guidelines in place for if someone wanted to submit an article to the magazine. So Jennifer, what do we have?
So these are just, I had a lengthy conversation with Sean, the publisher of Celebration News, and he and I had went over some things that just based on our conversation and some research that I've done, this is just a starting point. I mean, I've, again, adopted and from a lot of other community magazines that took it through to see what else. Some of this is just general, like not putting the text over pictures. Again, I don't know how in depth you want to go on this, but some of this stuff, like I said, fewer than 600 words that comes from Sean. Ideal length is 300 words. And I don't know if this is a conversation we all had together, but his suggestion, this was his number one thing, is that we need to pull back on his recommendation. That there was a lot of words in all the article,
Right.
lengthy. And so this is just based off of his suggestions.
Some more images.
Correct, and just housekeeping, the resolution that we need. Again, after talking with Sean, some people add their own text and graphics and overlays, but that becomes a problem. It's challenging when we're trying to brand ourselves because they're, putting a different font or whatever over pictures and things like that. Stop me if you guys have any, like I said, any questions on any of this specifically. We do try to, and we're lucky enough to have people that submit, really do a great job and kind of, look proofreading and things like that, but we do that on our end as well. We just want to make sure that we encourage people to continue to do that. Content guidelines, tones and topics. This is pretty standard. I'm just, like I said, this is standard. Political opinions, religious commentary, obviously offensive language, fundraising and sponsorships. We want to make sure that everything stays editorial, I would think, versus having a magazine that feels like people are selling things.
So I have a question about that one. My wife is part of the women's club, and they've got a fundraiser in October. So if they were to submit, how would you view something like that?
It would be from their perspective. So instead of it being like, send your money now, send the money here.
Right.
It would be, here's the women's club, here's why we're doing this. And those are things that I'm happy to walk people through, but like, we want to know about the women's club, what they do and who they are,
Okay.
versus this is not here. The thought process is, this isn't a way for you to get money, but it's an, oh, by the way, if you want to submit, but it should be a good read. It should be something that people want to read. And in fact, what a lot of people say is that you can't even write that in, that we can direct people to their website or any links we can direct it to.
Okay.
But I think it's a pretty standard to say no, asking for any kind of funds or fundraising.
No overt solicitation.
That you can say, we do raise funds and blah, 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 and then there's we give them a way to find our website.
Hypothetically, an event in October to raise money for school music.
You can say
program.
raising money for that, yeah,
Okay.
but not say, find us here to give money. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we're raising money from it, buy your ticket to the event.
And you're the gatekeeper on that, so more or less, right?
Right, it's together all that, yeah, but it's pretty much.
But if there was any questions as to,
Mhm.
okay, we have to have someone in place to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I want everybody to, I think that the biggest thing I think we've all said here is that we want to diversify. We want to make sure everybody feels like they can submit their information and that we get everybody's voice involved. So that's the goal.
So are there
Jen,
any,
this is-
go ahead, Amy.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, Jen, to echo what Don was saying, I'm part of that Celebration Women's Club group myself. I'm one of the co-chairs with his wife. When would you need a proposed content that we'd send over? Like, our event itself is going to be on Saturday, October the 11th. Would you need that by August 15th? Like, when could we submit something to be considered?
We're telling, right now I need it a month ahead of time. So the last week of the month prior is when is fantastic, because remember, we stay a month ahead. So right now we're working on August, right? So as quickly as you can get that in is great, but the absolute deadline that I have is that first week of the month.
First of all,
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. We'll get that to you right away then, because we were just talking about that this morning at a meeting. So we'll definitely get that over for you to look at.
Okay, great. And I was telling Don too that we did, and I'm sorry, I don't think I put that on there, but we did start an email that is submissions. So it's something that we're gonna start putting out there, and we want to make sure everybody knows how to submit. And not saying we are gonna take everything everybody has, but how to submit. That way everybody knows, and it's just one email to be able to send.
so I guess the goal would be to get out to the community. This is your magazine. We're actively looking for input, articles, can't use them all. It's got to follow the guidelines, but maybe more inclusive than perhaps in the past.
I think that this is what I'm hoping, these submission guidelines is for us to look at that, to see any holes in. Yes, we want everybody to submit. We don't want to slow things down, but we also want to make sure that when we can or cannot publish something, a reason why.
So, and I guess that's a balancing act, but so how you're gonna have to position that in the email or in the Friday flash or whatever? How however you communicate out to those. No, so they know it's not carte blanche, you're not gonna publish every article.
Right, and we have that in here as well. And I think though that may be something good for us to consider. Do we want to, you know, obviously it's a big community. If everybody sends in
Yeah.
something, I think that prior to, we may want to consider, how do we say, if you'd like to be considered as a guest editor or not editor, contributor, then we may want to talk through what that looks like ahead of time.
But initially try to get the word out that, you know,
More like organizations,
Yeah.
events, things like that is what I think for me, and again, I want to hear obviously what you guys have to say. But, you know, to make sure all these organization and events, everybody is able
Has
to
a
put their
voice.
information out there, exactly.
is there anything in the guidelines that y'all see that need attention or editing or
I thought they
wordsmithing?
looked great. I thought they looked really good, and a lot of the things I was thinking in my mind, like the political opinions or religious, was in there, so it looked really good to me.
Yeah, I'm glad we're addressing the political, because I guess there's been issues in the past, so having that highlighted or notated is good.
Yeah,
And also we went to talk, the fundraiser was a big thing too, and Jen said that well, so we've had people reach out saying they're not sure if it's a place for fundraisers or not. And as we've directed about, it's all about the approach, where if we're saying, hey, donate now, here's a button.
Yeah, yeah.
That is not, that's saying, hey, here's an opportunity and here's the why behind it,
FYI.
and here's a page for the company that you can go find more information on how to do it. That type of just providing opportunities we want to still allow, but we don't want to do those promotions.
and I think at the end of the day, what I keep coming back to is, you know, is not to upset anybody, but to say at the same time, then if nobody's picking this up and reading it, it's doing nobody.
Correct.
And it may feel good to want to put your, you know, but it's not super exciting if you feel like you're opening this up and you're just being asked for money.
At some point, can we get the message out as a communication tool that this magazine doesn't cost anybody anything, you know what I'm saying? It's all ad driven. So, because I think some people's residents feel, wow, scroll up, is our money going to pay for this and I don't use it?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
At some point, you know, just, you know, it's your magazine, it's your community, it's a community magazine. Your input's appreciated and contributions, but understand that it's ad driven and there's no cost from your HOA funds. I hear a lot
I
of
think that's a good, and I'll have to just think through how we,
how you position.
yeah, exactly. But I do think that can start with also our email, our submission email. We
That's
can even
okay.
mention it
Yeah,
in
yeah,
there.
that's
This is a
FYI,
completely,
yeah.
yeah, that's a great idea.
So what are the next steps? So you're going to something you're putting an email blast or?
Yeah, on the Friday Flash, we'll
Friday Flash.
make a flyer and put it out there, that we have this.
Guidelines are in place. and-
Or really just to submit, here's
Okay.
the email, we want
Okay.
everybody's voice. That's it. I think we keep it clean there and then.
You don't know to get into the guideline portion of it.
Exactly. I think when,
Okay.
you know, when we,
Get that, yeah. Just opening it up to the community, if you have an article or an interest, I'd like to hear from.
we just wanna
All
make
right,
sure.
that's
that-
great.
Jen, is there anything you want to talk about on that as well as what we're doing, we're receiving some articles well in advance that we're holding until closer?
Mhm. That is that's a good point, thank you, that, you know, sometimes we have people that send over. Here, please post this, and that is something else we can discuss as well, that we may wanna put to. Is this first and then the Friday Flash, our emails, you know, that are, our newsletters that we send out, so that we do have some guidelines for that as well. If somebody sends me something for October, I'm trying to say, this isn't the time, like, hold on to that and then please resubmit. What we're doing now is really saying if it's not 3 weeks out. So if it's in the August magazine, then if it's something coming in September, that's appropriate. And then, maybe even a little into the next month. But sometimes people want us to put things out there that are for December and
Yeah.
nobody's gonna remember but sometimes they want it to stay out there and keep submitting until December. So I think what I've been saying is 3 weeks out for our email, the newsletters, but for the magazine. Did I propose something in there that was I guess we added that.
Does it have the distinction between the newsletter parameters and the magazine parameters? Or is this
This
specific
is just for the magazine.
for the magazine?
And then we can move on to the newsletter.
What is the newsletter? You mean the Monday?
Friday Flash.
The
Yeah.
Friday Flash.
So, the Friday Flash is more the fun community stuff. We're really also trying to make sure that those have two distinct purposes and that we, everybody knows what to expect when they open up that. And so I think that really pertains more to the Friday Flash in particular is where I think we can also, and if you guys think so, we can take a look at, once we settle on this, we can say, how do we adopt this to that? Because that is something across the board. We need some guidelines for that as well.
So help me with the protocol here. As far as the guidelines, are we good to go with that? And we just implement them well, or
Well, we can't vote on it, right?
We can't vote.
So
is there anything to vote on? I mean,
submission guidelines like this, if this committee so far who have in attendance is an agreement that these are locked down and we're ready to roll with this for Friday Flash, then what we should do is
Well,
probably
this is for the magazines.
for the magazine, sorry, thank you for that correction. If this is what we want to use for current submission guidelines on the magazine, then we need to most likely. Yes, we should put this as a process where we get a vote from them and it can be via email. That can either be prompted by you, Don, as the chair, or you as the liaison. And then that way you can just ask for an email response to approve taking this to the board. I'll need to double check. This might need to go to the CJC board, not the Crow board. I'll have to double check on that.
Okay.
Just because of the magazine, I think is part of
yeah,
CJC.
So when we do vote, if we were to approve it, then that's just saying we want to push it forward to the board,
Yep.
correct?
Yep,
push it forward to the board, CJC or the Crow.
you can just say the board, the relative board.
Okay.
That can be the recommendation, is to recommend this process be implemented.
Okay. So we're not gonna be setting this up this Friday then.
We can't start enforcing it, no, we can start,
But can we just communicate it out if we don't?
no, we need to
Until
wait.
we get
until-
the-
Yes.
And again, help me, so which is the board? Is it the Grow board?
I
gotta get
I have to double check. I think that the magazine is a joint. It technically falls under CJC, which
Okay.
means that the Crow board can't authorize guidelines on it. The CJC board would need to.
So we'll get the email out to our team, the communications team. to Get a yay or nay, or any, thing like that, and then we'll look to you.
Yep.
For the board. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. And do you want to send that email? Do you want me to? Do you want
Do
to?
that.
Okay, that's good.
And just so anyone on the call, like we said, this is not a formal meeting because you don't have quorum. So
Right.
your response saying, yes, I'm in line with this, still needs recorded in that email as it's not official in this.
Right. So we all need to respond.
Mhm.
Okay, very good, thank you. All right, the next thing is the publisher discussion. Last meeting, we met via phone with the publisher, what's his name, Sean?
Mhm.
And what's the update? Do we have?
So I just wanted to give you guys an update that he said this month was really, really tough for him. So, but we had, like I said, a really good in-depth discussion. And it was probably an hour long about things and I really took what he said and put them into the guidelines. of what he suggested, and then he's gonna send to us some more aesthetic changes that we can make. But he really said it's up to you guys, what you wanna do other than, you know, the advertising. The advertising can't change. But we can change anything in the magazine and the place that it's in as we want. And so that's where he said he will, and he's gonna get back with me on some, because I asked him that as well, aesthetically, what changes would you suggest we would make? And that's what he said.
That's what I'd like to hear from him,
Yeah.
you know, being in the business. Aesthetically, is there anything freshening, you know, perspective, knowing the brand and the colors and everything? Is there anything he would recommend, maybe we think about it, just to mix it up and change it up a little bit?
Okay, and I did tell him that and sent him an email, but I'll ask him to make sure I have that for our next one, but I wanted to, I did send him our brand guideline so that he can take a look at that as well. I think that's a big place, and he did mention that's somewhere we can start. It's those subtle changes of making sure the colors are
It's
all
consistent with it, right?
exactly.
All right, website update, so there's two websites we're talking about.
Yeah.
The initial one is the,
Visit Celebration, which is a Kanoa
so
initiative.
is Canoa now Visit Celebration, or, because I've heard.
It's a DBA under it. No, so it's either, Kanoa will always be Kanoa,
Okay,
but since it's very hard for everyone to understand what Kanoa is, they
Right.
created this DBA called Visit Celebration. So it's another name.
it's like an initiative.
Yeah, and it's an initiative to bring in business into this town. Or Kanoa, and it's under Kanoa as, well, Kanoa is the businesses of the town, or at least the owners of the businesses. Yes.
So where are we with the, because last time I heard that they were looking at a couple vendors or a vendor for the website.
We did, they voted and went ahead with Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit,
And they are going to start with Visit Celebration. Our thought process was, let's see how it goes with Visit Celebration. Let's kind of use that as our training wheels so that when we want to go back into town hall, we take all that we now know, and hopefully it'll be able to expedite.
so what's the plan? Are they actively working on it? Is it?
Their down payment is like being issued currently. So once that starts, the ball is really gonna start rolling here soon. But so right now it's contract is signed and
And do you know how the timeline is for, when it could be live, the new?
Live, I don't know, but we're working on a timeline now, so this week is when I have to get a timeline, the proposed one over to them, and I don't know how far out that'll go, if it leads right up until this is the date it goes live,
I mean,
but
do we have any ideas? It could be a month or 3 months, 6 months?
we have not even had our discovery meeting with Fahrenheit yet. We can't have that meeting until the down payment is done, because once that money's exchanged, then we can go into, okay.
Yeah. we're just about to get a lot more information on that. The Kanoa board is, pedal to the metal on this initiative,
Yeah.
and they want this website live 3 months ago.
And they said for the holidays season too, right?
Yeah, so it's one of those, no worries here for this committee, they're not gonna lag, this is gonna move through really well. Fahrenheit is a smaller agency, but that being said, the references we received, they're very, very good with back-end support for our team, which is one of the biggest things we're needing with our website that we're not getting now through Freshly. Freshly, so it's,
Did we RFP for this? Did we?
this was not, but they did source out or they did pull in multiple different recommendations. They didn't want RFP it.
And Katie, requests that we keep, the technology.
IT,
And the involved.
always,
Yeah.
yeah, that, they're one of them.
And so one of them reached out to me, asked about where we were with the two. So
Gotcha, yeah, so the Crow website will be a huge undertaking that will have, definitely review by this committee, the IT committee, and probably the board itself.
So
And
the technology committee doesn't, they can look at it, it's really not their focus more than the Pro one, correct?
it's gonna be probably just taking and understanding every committee, using the stakeholders to make sure we're, with initiatives. Where, let's say, the comms committee is gonna have certain directions with how they want the website to maybe flow, what are we marketing, what's the messaging we're getting across? And IT will be asked for their input on security parameters, where do we put up the firewall, what goes behind the sign in and what goes in front of.
Right.
And is this a reputable company or are we looking at, they'll be asked different questions or used for advisement on different questions.
Okay. So that's where we are with the visit celebration side, and then it leads into, based on the success of Fahrenheit, bringing them in. Are we automatically bringing them in? I mean, barring some disaster for the ROA?
No, we have no ties to, we have no,
So what's the
That's
process or what's the plan for that, once this one is completed? Would we RFP that out?
overstep. The hope would be that we have an extremely good experience with Fahrenheit. Where we can then be comfortable, from a management standpoint, going straight and recommending this to, the board on that level. As I'm assuming the project cost is going to be over $10,000 to redo a website. We, as a requirement, will have to bid it, or we'll have to get at least three bids.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that we need to RFP it. It just means we need to seek multiple bids. Being GROA and a larger initiative, we may look at RFPing it. I will just wait to see at that point on, are we super satisfied with Fahrenheit that we don't need the RFP because we pretty much know the direction we're gonna go? Or are we've learned some things, they're good at this, they're not good at that. Let's go to RFP on a bigger version and see if anyone wants to bid it.
And the advantage is if we like them and they did a great job for us, they know us and they know holistically what we.
Yeah, and there's a lot of advantages, for our IT and communications internal teams with only dealing with one vendor for two different sites.
That's a good point.
But we're not tied to making them the same vendor. We don't have to be that, which is good which has strengths as well.
Any questions on the website updates, please?
No questions from me.
Okay.
None
Hey, I'm
for
glad. I'm glad to hear your voice so that you're still on. I know, we're jumping through the meeting, which is good. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
All right, so, I guess the next one is proposed meeting date. The
So-
proposed meeting date,
Yep, Monday of August 11th, 4:30 to 5:30 here, if you guys are good. That the room's available.
That works for me.
I guess, so is there anything else to discuss? Any questions, comments?
I had something, but it was regarding the cover. I don't know if right now would be a good time for that. We had a discussion last month regarding the cover and the potential process.
Yeah.
No, good time to mention that. Okay, so yeah, we had mentioned it, and it just seemed like there wasn't a very good, process in place. Whatever, right? The reason that we had chosen that luau was basically because, it was wonderful. I liked the photo personally, but how we were discussing it, it seems it was, well, that was the only event we had the correct photo for that would even work, right? It was the only one that met all the guidelines to even submit. Would it be possible for our committee to just have somewhat of a proactive list so that we could ensure that we have a photographer at certain events and we capture what we think would be best for the cover?
We do we work with the events and rec team who usually hires the photographer. And that is something that I've had conversations with them about, so that from now on, when we do hire, I can say, hey, can we keep this in mind? Because they usually will give them a shot list. So I think we can try that and see if we get better submissions that way. I also think
Yeah.
that that submission email, we can also put the word out to say, hey, if you're willing to give us your photographs, there are some people, and I'm still learning, that really have a talent for that here. We could try that route as well, to say, if you have something you think would be great for the cover, obviously we'll just give them a credit. But
Yeah.
can
That would be
start
great
with that.
too.
But I also think, keep in mind too, is that Tara that's?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so, that was the last couple of months where nobody was really, like, Adriana just stepped in and literally was like, this is a great
Right.
photo. I agree, I thought it looked great. As somebody who's just gonna walk by and pick it up, but I think that was part of the problem as well. One thing that, yeah, exactly, just, but I also think one thing that we're working on is really taking all of our assets. We've gotten a few software and management tools that are gonna help us with that, to really be able to take all of our assets and keep them in one place, so that we can use them for the magazine or for.
Well, the good news is July one has a picture of July 4th. That's a year old. I mean, who-
There you go. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I think that would be wonderful.
I think something that this committee could, use time and initiative on is, propose, maybe we do a forward planning on, we know we have August, September, October, November. Even if it's almost with this committee, we help with topics, like what are we looking for? Especially then if we're gonna offer submissions, so, for August, it's back to school, and maybe it's just something more back to school related. But we
Yep.
leave it general, right? So we can say,
Right.
let's say back for July, we want it to be patriotic, but not, in that way,
Right.
it can even help our teams
Yep.
knowing ahead of time, what am I gonna start looking for? What do we need to
Yep.
start looking for pictures of?
Well,
Maybe
which
it's a holiday.
we've already done for, which is kind of internally what we did for August, is we've kind of been going off of the last hurrah. The goodbye summer, the last hurrah, and so there wasn't time, again, keeping in mind that we're a month ahead. We literally just had this conversation to say, let's come up with a topic, a fun something, so that, but I need that in advance, that I plan on sending out. We send it out tomorrow to say, need your submissions for August. Here's our fun, please keep this in mind, because we do have to keep, like I was saying, we were discussing earlier, people are submitting for August, but are talking about July. That's difficult,
Yeah,
because now you're gonna have a whole magazine of, look what we did in July,
Yeah.
on July 4th, and it's fun unless you have somebody saying, hey, I just need you to think about this. That's not fun in August, though,
Yeah.
But do we have a cover select for August yet?
We do not.
All right.
So I need one for summer, and the reason why is because I personally would rather, I want something to look good, we'll meet our deadlines, but I'm not gonna just put something
No, no.
up there, so we're looking to see. Hey, we do have a new photographer that's working with the events, maybe she's not new, maybe she's been here, but they've
Oh.
been using her more.
We have a photographer
We should,
on staff?
no,
It's just pretty nice.
just a free,
Okay.
her stuff is just like, even the last thing I saw that she did.
So you have a meeting for tomorrow.
I do. You're good.
You need it for tomorrow, but if there's anything out there, right? for-
Yeah,
for-
we definitely, just keep in mind, I would need somebody to sign over to say, this is my photograph and I'm willing to let it be, but absolutely, but I think that's a great idea, and think
Yeah.
to come to you guys.
Yeah.
With the fact that we've already kind of said, I'm like, we need to start theming this, and we really, a month ahead is still behind, but.
Can we do a placeholder on an agenda every month?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But, hey, for 2 months out, this is what the plan is,
Mhm.
and FYI, any ideas? And then just
Yeah.
keep the rolling agenda item,
That's it.
2 months out.
I think you could then come up with a 12-month.
Yeah.
Like, in that sense, it's almost a good strategy. What's our 12-month? But in that sense of just a generalized idea of, we know we have typical events that happen in months on an annual calendar.
Mhm.
So is there anything that we definitely, you definitely know you wanted something patriotic for July, right? If we put a picture of a kid in a pool, it would have been a missed opportunity. But in that sense, where this community, I know this sounded like something Andrew was very passionate as well, just on those senses of very high level topics, if we know, and if not, then say it's open for anything, maybe September is, well, there's 9/11, maybe we don't, we want it to be spaced around that, but maybe you don't, because on that level, now that we're looking at it on a 12-month calendar, we say, well, we've already dedicated May and July to being patriotic. Let's not use September for it, or maybe this committee's recommendation is we do. I mean, those types of things are good, I think, use of this space.
Okay.
And that also then helps our team know, do we do something about 9/11 for September, or do we not? And that's, you know, but there was at least thought into it instead of a,
Yeah, I
we
think
think
that's-
our picture.
Just have a dialogue, moving forward, okay, 2 months out, 3 months out, this is what we're
Mm.
thinking about. I think it'd be good.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't
So we'll
think.
do this a rolling agenda item, so we'll talk about.
Yeah, and do you think, just based on past experience, that to get anywhere, and I feel like everybody in this room would understand that, and on our committee, I should say, we should come to the table with, here's the slogan I was thinking we could go on, here's a fun something that, so that we're using this time to say, let's vote on, like, who's do we like versus brainstorming sessions tend to go in a big circle.
Yeah.
But I think
Agree.
And, you know, we have to see that in some other committees as well, where those are kind of offline between now and the next month. Hey, here's 12 months. Can you help us come up with ideas? If you know there's anything you would recommend for this specific month.
Yeah.
And it's helpful too, to use you guys if we want to. Obviously, we'll have parameters, but to think outside the box on,
Yeah.
you know.
All right. Anything else, Tara, Amy?
That was good for me. Thank you.
All right,
No,
ladies.
great, thank you so much.
All right, I think we'll call
Yeah.
meeting to a close. We'll plan on, Jen's gonna get the email out to everyone. Just
And I'll
to
get some
get your opinion on the guidelines, and if you can respond back, everyone, and then we can take it from there.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Yeah.
Bye.